Well, good evening, folks. It is 20 to 9 in the evening, and we are just pulling into Croft Circuit now. This is for our last testing day of the year. It's the 23rd of September. The weather actually looks really good, but I tell you what, it's going to be bloody cold. So we're just pulling up to the circuit now. We've got to get all this stuff unloaded, and then I'm making a bed in the back of the car, and we're sleeping in the car. Well, it's morning now. Apparently, it's 4 degrees outside, but it feels like minus 20. It's been absolutely freezing, but I tell you what, the setup in here isn't too bad. I've got these curtains to go up, so it's like being in a little camper van, except I'm just in the boot of my car, so it's a little bit cramped, but it's nice. It's bloody freezing, that's all. Let's get the heaters on, get ourselves a cup of tea, and got a couple of things to prepare on the bike before we make a start today.
Well, here we are in the pit lane heading out onto track. I didn't manage to record the first session. Well, I just totally forgot to actually press the record button on the camera. But it was just sighting laps and getting into the rhythm of things, so you wouldn't have really missed much. Anyways, we come to the end of the pit lane. Ready to push a little bit harder this session than the last one, but I guess still easing into the day as we make our way out on track. Fantastic weather. I mean, the weather's so much better than it was back in July. Blue skies. I think at this point it was still very cold. I think it was about 3 or 4 degrees by the time we started. So just conscious that the track temperature wasn't quite going to be there. And to just build into it, knowing that with the sun out it would start to build up some temperature throughout the day. Getting the power down on the SV down this lovely back straight. A couple of laps later, coming out of Tower Bend, we can see we've got a rider in front on a, I can't quite see what that is, on an SV 650. So the younger brother, well, I say younger brother, but the 650 is, well, it's a newer bike than the SV1000. They don't even really make the Thou anymore. But even still, we managed to keep up with him pretty well in the corners. And then on the exit, of course, that 130 horsepower and the buckets of torque that the V-twin is capable of just catapults us out of that corner, over the lovely little crest where you do get a bit of a wheelie, and get the position done. This was another one that, again, was just a good opportunity to use the power of the SV. Just coming out of the left, once you've got the left side of the tyre up to temperature, you can get on the power really, really early through there. Deciding not to go to move it in the tower, I think I was pretty close behind him, but then just as you hit that left kink, I knew that space was going to disappear, and I thought, you know what, let's just sit behind. As I say that, we have someone rather effortlessly go past me while I'm sort of dilly-dallying on the racing line trying to make a move here. And that is going to be a recurring theme throughout all of this, I think. I mean, there we go again. I get frustrated looking back on it. I clearly had the pace and the opportunities to overtake, but I was just not quite decisive enough about it. And some of the more decisive riders, or the quicker, this fella in front in the white leathers, I do recall he was particularly quick, going for quite a brave move on the outside there, because well, the rider in front of him sort of stayed in the middle of the track, but typically you'll run all the way out to the white line there, which is why you usually won't go to overtake on the outside, but hey, he got it done regardless. And now we see him thinking about another move into the first corner, but decides against it. It is a really quite a fast turn one, and there is an awkward bump on the apex, so you do have to be a bit cautious with that one. And then into this very long right-hander, which sort of just feels like it goes on forever, and you're just waiting to see that curb on the right, and then you flick it to the left. This time we are going to get past, coming out of the left-hander, going to get the power down, and then it's a really awkward braking zone into tower because you are going through that kink. Here we have one of the instructors. Is that Callum? I'm not sure who that is. showing me up into the braking zone. I mean, they just make it look so easy. But I think, you know what, let's try and learn a thing or two. Let's try getting behind him, see what we can do. He was on an R9, so we definitely have the power advantage. And we'll see out of the corner, it's more or less the same, but then just as you get it into 5th gear, you do catch up a bit, albeit I've cut away from it there. End of the same lap, we're still in touch with him. You know, I mean, these sets of corners here were probably my weakest. I think particularly this right-hander here, I think I was just a bit too conservative. And it is those slower speed corners where maybe you feel like you lack a little bit of confidence because the bike just isn't quite stable or as stable as it is in the higher speed corners, particularly through that hairpin, which is a really, really slow corner. But we can see here, you know, we've kept with him. I mean, the power on the straight's definitely helping. We close up a little bit, braking just at the start of the yellow dashed lines, signifying the pit exit there. And yeah, I'm pretty pleased. I mean, this is probably about 50% pace that he's doing right now. But, you know, good opportunity to follow the lines, get a sense for the braking points. I think we were fairly evenly matched with the R9, actually. I think a little bit more power, especially because I run a higher compression ratio on the SV, so it does get a little bit more power, and it's got a timing retard eliminator on it as well, which gives you a bit more top end, which has given us the edge. And look at that absolute hero of a move around the outside there into the gym carcasses, which is a really brutally fast set of corners, actually. And there's a couple of people making the moves there on the outside, which, I mean, fair enough. If I had the balls to do it, I would. But I wouldn't go anywhere near that move. But it's great to see as we both come up behind the slightly steadier rider now. Little wheelie over the crest there. Not going to be able to make the move into the complex here. It's the left is really quite quick, and it is a good overtaking opportunity. But then it can suck you in a little bit because this right-hander here comes up very fast. So if you are taking a lot of speed through that left-hander, you have to be conscious that you're going to need to get on the brakes as you change in direction. And look at this, 3 wide. We tried to go at the inside of that fella, and then this guy with the red leathers comes up our inside. So I can safely say that that's my first ever time going 3 wide as we take the checkered flag. So yeah, first time for everything. I sort of stood the bike up a little bit just to give him the space on the inside as we pull ourselves back into the garage, ready to go and have a chat to some of the instructors, make sure everything's all right on the bike, tyre pressures, fuel, etc., and then get ourselves ready for the next session. And here we are, queued up at the end of the pit lane. Now, this was a little bit of a stranger session, and you'll see why as we head out onto track towards the front of the pack, the first group going out. Got this fella 2 positions ahead there on the KTM Super Duke there. He was flying. So at the end of that lap, we do bring it into the pits, and you can't hear it on the video, but essentially on the run up to Tower Bend, I could hear a very peculiar metallic clanging sound. I still have no idea what it was, so I brought it in, I gave everything a once over, and I could not find anything that was loose. So we had ourselves back out, and I thought, well, we'll take it steady and we'll see if we hear that same noise again. It was, I don't know how else to explain it, almost like a ka-dunk, 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 ka-dunk. It's the best way I can explain it. As we come up the back straight, as the Super Duke with ridiculous power flies past us, we notice there is a yellow flag there on the left, and the reason for that is you can see there is actually a bike, I think, is that a Daytona, parked up against the tyre wall there. And so I'm thinking, right, maybe what I was hearing was his bike packing it in. I don't know, because it was exactly on the run up into that bend. I thought maybe he was just behind me and his bike was making a noise and I could hear it. So at that point I thought, okay, well, I'm pretty confident there's not wrong with the bike now, so we'll bring ourselves back up to the pace. But we did lose ourselves quite a few laps because when I brought it into the pits, I just really wanted to make sure that there was nothing loose as we get the move done, braking again at the start of that yellow line. Round the super long right-hander, and look at that. Absolute hero round the outside. I mean, it sort of just makes me look like a roadblock, doesn't it? You think, yeah, you think you're, oh, look at that. Oh my goodness. Another one of those moves where, I mean, just pure commitment. I mean, respect to that. I'm now going to give you a break from my rambling so you can enjoy the onboard, the beautiful sound of the SV on what was my fastest lap of the day, a 1:45.9. Well, there you have it, folks. It's quite interesting. I think this session, or at least that lap, and just my quickest laps of the day in general, were the ones where I said to myself, stop tensing, just relax, don't push that hard, just take it easy, enjoy yourself. And those ended up being the fastest laps, which when you think about it, isn't a surprise. The smoother and the relaxed you are, the better the bike handles, and when I was pushing it harder, it wasn't as good. So I'm pretty happy with that. Lunch digested, well, not really, which I soon came to realise. I was so hungry, and I mean, I was just exhausted because it really takes a lot out of you. This track it's not a massive track, but it is somewhat physical. So I think I had a sausage sarnie and I had a massive burger as well with a hash brown in it, and it was delightful. But very quickly in this session, I began to realise that maybe loading up on that many carbs wasn't a good idea, because my stomach started to tie itself in circles, and just get a little bit of a wobble there. You can see it's subtle, but that gives you an idea of, look at that Duke come flying. Look at this guy. He's going about 140 mile an hour, gets on the brakes, gets all the way over to the inside, gets the move done. I mean, that takes some bravery right there on a Duke as well. As we have, that is Josh Corner on the Yamaha R9 showing us up. And we did a few sessions with Josh. I spoke to him a couple of times just about where I feel I needed to make improvements, which was everywhere. I think we came to the consensus that generally, you know, the lines were good, the technique, the body position was fine. I just needed to be a bit more committed. I mean, this is a great example here. I think coming into this right-hander, it would have been so easy to just make the move, but instead I sit behind, and obviously it's not a race. I'm not in a rush to get past anybody, but I think sometimes being indecisive about the move is perhaps worse. So I take the easy option out to just get him on the exit of the corner using the power, but I really need to get more used to leveling people on the brakes, because that is the way to overtake. As we come up behind another rider now through Tower Bend. And it's going to be another one of those positions where here's where the move should have been done. You know, we've seen a lot of guys on this run up to the Jim Clark S's. It is a fast corner, but you've got the space, you can get the move done, but I decide to just stick in behind him, really closing up, and there you go. Exactly what I've just been saying into practice. I think he actually gives that fella, I think he's on a Ducati Super Sport, gets a bit of a fright, stands the bike up, which does then open the space for us to get through on him. Either that or he saw us in his mirrors, which isn't even really a good thing anyway, because anyone who's been to an instructor track day knows that you should never be looking in those mirrors. This guy in front looked pretty quick. Not sure what bike he was on. Might have been a Fireblade. Somebody correct me in the comments if you can tell by the rear of the bike what it is. There are a few people on Fireblades. There was a couple S1000s and a lot of Triumphs, actually. Get a lot of people on Daytonas and Street Triples. There was one fellow on a Husqvarna, was it the Vit-Pillen or the Svart-Pillen? I can't remember which is which. The 701, so it's the same engine as the Duke. What is it? The Duke 790 in the Husky frame, and he was getting on actually. As you see, our good mate on the KTM RC8. Really nice fellow actually. He let me use his tyre warmer. He had a spare set of tyre warmers and let me use them for the day, which was my first time using tyre warmers. So big thanks to him. I think he's got 5 or 6 of those KTMs. But really nice fella. So penultimate session of the day. Bit of an odd, chaotic start to this one. My friend Michael, who's been coming to these days at Croft throughout the year on his R6, just moved up from the green group into our yellow group. So I thought we could go and do some laps together. We've both got GoPros. We could get some footage. So he waits for me in the pit lane, during which I realised that I haven't got gloves on. Then I realised that the bike hasn't got any fuel in, so I start frantically running back and forth to get all of that sorted. We do eventually make it out, actually the last 2 coming out onto the track, which means that we've got quite a decent bit of space. So I think, okay, let's take it easy, let's warm into it and have a good session. But then what I proceeded to do was, rather selfishly, after one lap, I just pulled the pin. And all that went out the window, and I just started pushing like I normally would. So yeah, sorry about that, Michael. I hope you still had fun without me. As we come across the line, a couple of riders ahead. Lovely move on the inside there. Through what is quite a quick turn 1. And look at that. Exactly what I was talking about, where you think there's nothing more to get out of that right hand there, and then someone comes around you outside. I think that was one of the corners I was able to get my knee down on, but I think maybe just having to pick up the throttle a bit earlier. It's a weird one because the corner progressively opens up, so you have to keep the same lean. Well, in order to keep the same lean, you have to keep the throttle on. Look at that lovely move on the end. That's how you do it. Perfectly levelled, but also makes me realise that I was being far too conservative with my own moves. I've probably had 4 or 5 different opportunities to get past this fella. So I think that's probably one of my biggest takeaways. Once again, resorting to the easy way out of just getting the power down out of sunny out. And getting ourselves up the inside into first of the complex bends. Next lap round, we find ourselves back again. I think that is the Ducati Super Sport. Really interesting bike, actually. It looks great, in my opinion. I mean, I think people are probably quite divided about that. Here we actually do decisively make the move as we go into Barcroft, which was a lot better. And now we have 2 riders in front of us. I believe the yellow one is a RSV Miele, so probably a bit older than the SV. When would that have been? Like early 90s maybe. but a nice big thumping twin. At least I believe that's. Please correct me if I'm wrong. If you're frustratingly slamming on your keyboard, that's not a melee. I'm pretty sure that is a melee. But yeah, forgive me if I'm chatting absolute nonsense. So I think this will be a good bike to follow, actually. I hadn't really seen him the whole time round, which made me think we're probably quite evenly matched, and that the power might be quite evenly matched. As it happens, this SV has got legs, and we kind of just breeze past rather effortlessly. I keep myself low. On the straights, I will get my chin down to the tank. I don't know to what extent that helps with the top speed. A lot of other people riding a bit more upright, but I find the only time I can relax is on the straights, so I try to relax my legs, my arms, and just rest as we have the pillion laps going out, which I really want to have a go on that. This guy was, I think he's a world endurance racer, was setting, 1:30, 1 minute 30 laps with someone on the back. So props to him. I really want to have a go. I think I could learn a lot from just grabbing on. Oh, well, just learn how rubbish I am. End of the day then. At this point, I was exhausted. That burger and sausage sarnie that I had was so ready to hit the ejector seat button. It just did not feel like it was going to stay down. At this point, I've had a really, really nice time, and I just think, you know what, let's not throw it down the road here, because if you're going to crash it, typically you're either going to do it first session because you're not warmed up, or you're a bit too excited, or everything's not up to temperature, or whatever it may be, or it's the last session because you're physically and mentally exhausted. Particularly with my legs, I really like to jump around the bike a lot. See there, I could have made a move into the inside. Quite frustrating. Watch it. It's the Super Sport again, the Ducati Super Sport. I think if this fella had his toes a bit higher up on the pegs, he'd be getting along so much better. I think every time he leaned a bit too hard, his toes would drag, and that's a bit can be a bit off-putting. But we do once again get on the exit there through towards Barcroft. I don't know how much power that Super Sport has. Is it about 120? Is it a detuned Panigale engine? I honestly don't know. Generally, this was a really quiet session. This was another one of the fastest laps of the day, and the sun had came out. So once again, I am going to shut up and let you enjoy. Well, there you have it. That's the day finished. I hope you enjoyed that lap. I think that one there was a 1:46.2, so only 3/10 off my fastest lap. And it was, like I said, it was right at the end of the day when I said to myself, all right, let's not try set any lap records. Let's just enjoy myself and bring it home. and actually turned out to be one of the fastest laps of the day. So clearly a recurring theme there. Now we get the bike sorted, and I get a report from my dad about something quite unfortunate.
But I forgot I'd plugged the light cable. So when I looked down, it was just bare wires. Spent time rewiring this up. I was going to say, but this, I've done it. Yeah. This is supposed to go on the cable first, and then screws over there. Stop watering first. So I'll have to redo it. But I think I've done it. Luckily, I found a diagram of how the wire is set up to the thing, and all the cables are the same colour on the diagram. Yeah.